John and I are here with you. We're talking about your association with Crown Royal. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the last couple of years, I've been working with Crown Royal on some of their initiatives that they have. And right now, what we've been doing is really pushing the water break initiative. And, it's all about having fun, enjoying the game, whether it's pregame, whether that's during game. But it's about hydration. And I think that's probably the most important part of it. And, not overindulging yourself, making sure that you're having fun, but hydrating with water as well. And so we're all for, the tailgate. We're all for the in-game experience. And, really we're supporting some of those local vendors that have been obviously hit by the pandemic, et cetera. But we want you to be able to hydrate as well and, making sure that you're smart. And so not only winning on the field, but making sure that your body can win after the party is over.
Yeah, Deuce, I know with that particularly, I know fans, obviously you're up in the press box and you and Zach are calling games, so it's hard to pay attention. But how are fans able to kind of partake in this, and what are they able to do to make sure that they're in line with it?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, whether it's halftime, whether it's before the game, that you can go and get your water, just to be able to enjoy it, because we definitely want you to be able to watch it. But also, as you sip and drink some of the Crown Royal, as far as in-game is concerned, we want you to be able to hydrate. I think that's the biggest thing. So whether that's during a timeout, whether that's at halftime or pregame, just making sure that you have your water to be able to, hydrate so you can stay in the game and watch the game and enjoy it from that factor.
Well, good. Is Crown Royal helping business owners through some of the pandemic? Is that what I heard you say as well?
They've done some different initiatives, and we've worked with some of the different local restaurants and supporting them and some of the things that we've done in the past. We've done some challenges as far as some of the bartenders. We've done some initiatives where we went out and we've participating in giving back to the community, whether that was painting, whether that was at one of the local schools. We've done some different things as far as even there's one initiative where we support our soldiers, where fans can bring some stuff in. We give them a little, a small travel bag as far as that has some stuff in it. So we've done a lot of different initiatives over the last couple of years. And, this is one that it's not only NFL driven, but Kevin Garnett and the NBA is supporting it as well, and some of the things that they're doing. So I don't know if you guys saw a couple of commercials that he's involved with. And it's just about raising awareness and making sure that they're giving back to the local community. And so, we've done some things even going back. This was some years ago with the flood back in Baton Rouge, where we had a Crown Royal room in one of the bars that kind of was devastated by the flood. And so I had the opportunity to help in that initiative as well. And so it's about being a part of the community for them as well. And so, I was just happy to be able to say, hey, look, I like the initiatives that you guys are supporting. It's in my community. How can I help? And so that's why it's been a great partnership for myself.
Tell me, how do you see the Saints team moving forward this season, especially in light of what's going on with Drew Brees?
I think one of the things that they have to make sure that they're doing is allowing both of those guys, whether that is Jameis or whether it is Taysom. For me, you want those guys to be successful. And so it's really not shortening the game in a sense. You want to be able to say, look, we have enough playmakers. Our offensive line is good enough where we can still go out there and score points. I think one of the things that you'll see is probably packages for both of those guys. I don't know if it'll necessarily be 100% of the situation that you had last year with Teddy Bridgewater and, really where Taysom was kind of sidelined. I think that they will still have some type of role for Taysom. I wouldn't be surprised if they took him off of some of the special team things that he does. But, what's interesting is when you look at some of the packages and some of the guys that are hurt, you talk about a Josh Hill, you talk about Traquan Smith. Both of those guys right now are out with concussion. We don't know how long that's going to last. Maybe it's this year because of the COVID rules, you can call players up from your practice squad, and I expect, Garrett Griffith to be one of those guys. So he eliminates or at least takes some of that pressure off of some of those packages. And obviously you can do it with Juwan Johnson as well as far as receiver is concerned. But how do you still get Taysom involved offensively where you don't lose some of his production? So I would not be surprised for both of those guys to play. I think it'll be packages, but you have to do something that goes to their strengths. I think that's the most important part. You're not looking for them to be Drew Brees. Let's make sure that they're put in positions where they can make the decision, whether that's throwing the pass, whether that's getting it to the playmakers. Just make sure that they're put in a position to be successful.
Look, and I think I agree 100%. It's just with Jameis, I think he has a great opportunity, obviously. And let's talk about Sean Payton, right? Because I think lost in all this shuffle, again, I don't think he's probably gets a lot of consideration maybe for Coach of the Year and the way things he's done. But looking back at some of the years, and obviously you've been there, you mentioned some of the packages, but what is it about Sean Payton that fans don't realize this guy calls a different game or does these different things? What are some of the characteristics and traits of Payton that just kind of makes and sets above everybody else?
Well, I think it's the fire. I think it's the fire that he has not only on game day, but during the week, and his ability to be able to motivate players in a unique way. We'll go with that. I mean, because, he wants to win. And so a lot of times you see Sean as a guy that say, look, coach, you're not playing anymore. But that's how I feel. I'm out there competing still as that guy, as far as that quarterback that was in the NFL. And so, he still gets excited about that. I'll never forget the conversation that me and he had a couple years ago on how the players, and were changing. And what I mean by that is from a communication standpoint. And it's tougher to reach. How do I reach this younger generation? Just because you talk about, from a technology standpoint, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or, some of those things that they have now that we necessarily didn't have. And so everything is instant for them, and they can see and they hear, you see the numbers, you see the stats. And so it's interesting, just from that sense, how do I make sure that I'm reaching these players and I'm not limiting some of the things that they do? And so I think he's done a pretty good job of trying to stay connected in that sense with those guys, but also being able to continue to push those guys. And look, man, they've got a talented group. That's not the question. The question is, can they continue to, one, keep them healthy, can they come together and, continue to go out there and play?
Awesome. What do you see in Alvin Kamara? I mean, he's been breaking records. He's leading the NFL in yards from scrimmage. Every game, it seems like he brings a different dynamic to this team. How do you see him, especially being a running back?
Special player. I mean, because he's a guy, if I had to compare him to any guy, it would probably be Marshall Faulk, and he's probably not as thick as Marshall Faulk on the lower end. But, I mean, his ability to be able to break tackles, to be a running back, traditional running back, that one is not just a third down guy. And I think that's probably the uniquest part about him. You didn't necessarily see that in Tennessee.
Right.
Even sometime early in his career, you didn't see him as a traditional running back. But that's what he has been able to prove that he is. Also, what I think is so unique is how teams have such a hard time of slowing him down from an overall game. Look, away some of the runs, but can you stop him or slow him down as a receiver? And I think what makes him so special is his ability to be able to line up in the slot or line up out wide. Because normally you're going to see, hey, look, if he's a back, I'm going to use my defensive end, I'm going to chip him, and then I'm going to have my linebacker to play mug coverage where he's right up there so Alvin can't get away. But if they're able to put him in motion and put him in the slot, then that takes away that chip, that defensive end, or that takes away the speed and the leverage that the linebacker has. And he's really, continued to improve as a route runner, which is especially because it allows Sean to use him in so many ways.
So, got one more for you, Deuce, on this because I know our time's getting short. But look, what's your assessment of the offensive line so far? And obviously, they're going to be a huge focal point. I know you see on Twitter people talking about Andres Pede or Cesar Ruiz's development or Eric McCoy potentially. But that interior line, I think, is a lot better than people give it credit for. What do you see from that offensive line and how they maybe can help impact this next several games with life without Drew Brees?
John, Cal, we've got to and that's just being honest. I mean, you go back to some of the great players that we've had, whether it was Jari Evans, whether, you're talking about a center, Max, just being able to be so dominant. And over the years, that's where it's always started. When you look at that offensive line, that's a lot of times who you're comparing some of those players to. Andres Pete, his biggest issue has been he's been banged up, and then, he's not winning every rep. And so that's what frustrates some fans. And then you talk about Caesar. Caesar's still a rookie. He's a rookie that are playing against very good players as far as interior players. And he'll tell you the last couple of weeks has not been his best. And so whether he's trying some different things on some of those guys or, he's still trying to feel his way through, there are going to be some mistakes. And so unfortunately, they have been mistakes where everybody sees them. Normally that's not the case when a player makes a mistake. And so, the biggest concern that I have, can they stay healthy over the next couple of weeks or can they get healthy? Because of both Toronto and Orange were both banged up a little bit. And can they protect the quarterback from the sense where the quarterback feels comfortable in the pocket? I can make that line protection, and I know exactly where we're going. I'm not rushed from an offensive standpoint, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. But those guys, not that they have to play better, but I want them to be elite. And so, the last couple of weeks, I'd probably say that they've been okay. Average, but they're not the elite group that they are.
Good stuff, man. Deuce, we really do appreciate you spending time with us. Tell us one more time how people can be able to follow the Crown Royal Initiative online.
Well, there's some different things as far as online. I mean, it's just the Crown Royal water break. You can go and you can see, and it's about having fun, but it's about hydration. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And, support the local communities as far as the bars are concerned. It's always that which we ask. We ask that you do it. Hydration is critical. Go out and have fun, but, make sure that you're hydration. I think that's the biggest thing that we ask.
Okay. But Deuce, man, thank you. Always, it's great to hear your voice and be able to drop some knowledge on us as well as the Who Dat Nation.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.